Hey y'all, I want you to picture this for a second. You're scrolling through a dating app, you see a man who's a successful doctor, he's traveling, smiling with friends, talking about wanting kids someday. Everything about his profile screams normal, stable, put together. Now imagine finding out that same man is accused of murdering his ex-wife and her new husband. That's exactly what police in Ohio say happened with vascular surgeon Michael McKee. And the evidence investigators are pointing to, from surveillance footage to a gun match, is honestly chilling. So today we're doing a full deep dive into who Michael McKee is, what he's accused of, and why prosecutors believe this was fueled by years of resentment. Let's start with where this case stands right now. Michael McKee was arrested in Illinois after investigators connected him to the murders of his ex-wife, Monique Tepe, and her husband, Dr. Spencer Tepe. Instead of fighting it, McKee waived his right to an extradition hearing, meaning he agreed to be sent back to Ohio without contest. He's now being held in the Franklin County Jail in Columbus, Ohio. Authorities released a new mugshot after his booking, and a lot of people online have commented on just how cold and unsettling it looks. But legally speaking, McKee is presumed innocent at this point. Still, police seem confident in the evidence they've gathered so far. Now, let's talk about what investigators say links Michael McKee directly to the murders. First, police say a vehicle registered to McKee was connected to the area near the victim's home around the time of the killings. That alone raised serious suspicion. But then came the surveillance footage. According to investigators, video shows McKee in an alley close to the crime scene. Experts say this kind of evidence is huge because it independently places a suspect near where the murders occurred. And then there's the gun. Police recovered a firearm from McKee's condo, and early ballistics testing has preliminarily matched that weapon to the homicides. So when you put it all together, the vehicle, the video, and the gun, prosecutors believe they're building a strong case tying McKee to what happened. Now this is where the story takes a deeper turn. Michael McKee and Monique Tepe were only married for 7 months. Experts who looked at the divorce filings pointed out that such a short marriage often signals serious issues behind the scenes. But what really stood out? The divorce took nearly 1.5 years to finalize. And investigators say when divorces drag on like that, it can sometimes point to one person struggling to let go emotionally. As more details have emerged, there are claims of past abusive behavior and lingering resentment toward Monique. Prosecutors appear to be building a narrative that McKee may have been harboring anger for years, watching his ex-wife move on with a new life and new husband. And while motive isn't technically required for a conviction, juries almost always want to understand the why. Why now? Why years later? That's something this case will likely focus heavily on in court. Despite the evidence being discussed publicly, Michael McKee has pleaded not guilty. For a lot of people following the case, that might sound shocking. But legal experts say this is actually very common. At the beginning of criminal cases, almost every defendant pleads not guilty while attorneys review the evidence through what's called the discovery process. It doesn't necessarily mean the defense won't try to negotiate later, but for now, it forces the state to fully prove its case. And there's another major factor here. Ohio is a death penalty state. This means if prosecutors pursue capital punishment, McKee could potentially face the death penalty if convicted. So the stakes in this case are incredibly high. One of the most unsettling parts of this case is how normal Michael McKee appeared on the surface. On Bumble, he went by Mike. His profile showed him traveling, hanging out with friends, and talking about how meaningful his work was as a surgeon. He even mentioned wanting children someday. Nothing about it suggested violence, and experts say this kind of contrast is something we see over and over in true crime. A retired FBI agent even compared this case to the infamous Betty Broderick murders, where resentment built up quietly for years before turning deadly. It's a reminder that people don't always look like what they're capable of. The discussion around this case also brought up an important reality. Statistically, one of the most dangerous times for someone in an abusive relationship is when they leave. But experts stressed that abuse and control don't always stop after separation. Sometimes it continues in the form of obsession, constant messages, unwanted contact, sending cards or gifts, trying to insert themselves back into someone's life. Those can all be warning signs that someone hasn't let go. And in rare but tragic situations, that unresolved anger can escalate into violence, even years later. Right now, Michael McKee remains behind bars in Ohio as the case begins its journey through the court system. Investigators believe they've built a strong foundation with the surveillance footage placing him near the crime scene, the vehicle connection, and the preliminary ballistic match to the gun found in his condo. But from here, everything will be tested. There will be hearings, evidence challenges, and likely a long legal battle ahead, especially given the seriousness of the charges and the possibility of the death penalty in Ohio. Prosecutors will have to show not only that McKee was connected to the scene, but that he was the one who pulled the trigger. And the defense will likely work to poke holes in every piece of evidence, from the video timeline to the forensic testing. This is far from over. Cases like this are always disturbing, not just because of the violence, but because of how ordinary the accused often appears. A respected surgeon, a seemingly normal dating profile, a life that looked stable on the outside, and yet investigators believe it may have been fueled by years of unresolved anger and obsession. If the allegations are true, this is another tragic example of how resentment left to fester can turn deadly, even long after a relationship ends. As more details come out in court, we'll get a clearer picture of what really happened and whether prosecutors can prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. You already know I'll be following every update and keeping y'all in the loop. And that's it for this recap. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any of my recaps. And remember, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.